Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a new episode. My name is Jamie, and you may be aware I'm rebuilding this Triumph TR6 for a friend of mine. From the last couple of videos I've done, I've had a great response with the comments, very helpful because I've never built one of these, and I'm always open to suggestions, of course, and any tips you might have. One of the comments was about a strengthening kit for the front struts, so I'm going to look into that for the chassis. And yesterday we did the unboxing, as you might have seen the video. So today I'm assessing everything and going to start cutting out rotten metal and welding in new stuff. So it's always hard to know where to start when you have a big project like this, but I've decided to start here. So I've gone through all the panels that we don't have replacement parts for, that do have some issues. So I've marked off the areas which I'm going to cut out and replace. As you can see here, this top lip is quite rotten, and there's some little bits like this corner here and this here, and then we have the entire panel for this and also the A-pillar. So my plan is to replace all the bits we don't have the panels for, and I'm going to do all the bits and pieces without removing the seals, and I'm going to use the original seals as a reference point. So for instance, like this panel, I'll leave the seal in place, I'll cut this out, I'll repair the A-post, and then that should all be aligned with the original seal. That's the idea anyway. So as you can see, I marked out this area which I want to replace. You can see it's got a couple of holes here, and then there's this top lip here. So I have over here, I made a template out of cardboard. I have some 1mm thick steel, which is about what that originally would have been, and I'm just going to cut this out by hand, and then that's the first panel I'm going to replace. It's the next day in the workshop, and I'll show you what I did yesterday. So as we walk over to the motor vehicle, I have replaced this section here that was rotten, and also this top strip here, and made sure it's all straight. So, and I double checked that the wing fitted nicely as well. I have also bolted or put a few bolts into the body to the chassis, and I made these bracings that screw into the existing points where the hinges and the door catch was. So that will stop the car from like folding. A couple of bolts in the back there as well to hold everything. I haven't put any shims on the body to the chassis yet because, oh my God, have they just arrived? Now it really is Christmas. Sorry for the interruption, but Ollie has brought the goods as usual. We ordered these from Germany, yeah?
Yeah.
Ja, so. Ah, so, how do they say?
No, that's asshole in English.
These will save you hours and hours of time. These are basically magnets, as you probably guessed, but they're very strong magnets, and you can hold doors on, so you can get all your panel gaps and everything like that. They're wicked. Anyway, here's Ollie. Oh, check this out.
What?
Jamie Oliver.
Yeah?
Jamie Oliver.
Oh, God. Jesus.
No, come back.
What?
I've had many comments asking how we can keep our friendship so alive after 27 years. And I think the answer is...
A lot of alcohol.
Lot of alcohol. Anyway, getting on with the car. Okay, so the next step I think I'm going to take is, now I've braced the body and bolted it to the chassis, I want to remove this piece. And looking at it, the seal actually fits underneath that, so I think I'm going to have to replace the seal before I can replace that, but it obviously needs to come off. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the seal along this line here rather than replace the whole seal, because otherwise I would have to drill out all these spot welds, remove these A and B pillars, because I know this needs to be repaired anyway, but it will disturb everything, and I want to disturb as little as possible to get the fitment right. So I'm going to cut this, I'm going to inspect the condition underneath of the seal and the inner seal, and go from there. these panels are all put on in a certain order, which means I can't replace this panel here because the seal actually fits underneath it. So I cut this away because I knew also that I needed to repair this inner piece here. The rest of it looks pretty good, but we'll see more once I remove this. But the next thing I need to do is remove all these strips which are spot welded in, so I have to drill these spot welds all out, and then I need to tackle this, which needs to go in before this, and obviously the seal needs to go on before that as well. So that's actually the last piece, even though it's the first piece I want to change. Okay, we're getting somewhere, making some progress. I have cut the bottom piece out of there and made a replacement panel, like so. So that'll be welded in there. And I've also cut this corner out, which was rotten, and then made a replacement bit that will fit in there. Now, I thought I would do some tips and hints. So basically I'm just removing all these spot welds. Now you can get spot weld drill bits, so you basically drill into the layer of metal you want to remove with a special drill bit, and it will drill the spot weld out, and then you take it out. But for this I'm actually using a good old wood chisel and a big pair of pipe grips. So what I basically do is I chisel either side of the spot weld, and then I use these big grips to grab either side and then twist. And as you can probably just make out there, that it snaps them off really nicely and cleanly. So it's a new day in the workshop, and this is where I got to last night. So the new panel is in position. I managed to get all the old part of the panel off that was spot welded, and the next stage is that I'm going to weld this piece in under here, clean all this off and weld this in first, I think, and then this little repair under here. Now what I'm going to do with this, like I mentioned earlier, is I'm actually going to cut this. I have a brand new panel here, so I have the complete panel, but I'm only going to use this section here. So I'm going to cut that along there, put that in, and then I'm going to cut this and just replace this. Now this panel actually fits underneath this panel, which is this long panel here, as you can see, but I'm not going to pick all that apart just to get this in the original position. So I'm going to actually cut down there and try and weld it in there and grind it down. It'll look fine. So the other idea that I've had is that the new wing doesn't quite line up with the original here, like it should with the back one. Like it should line up nice and tightly like that. So what I'm planning to do is cut the new panel and line up this section with the new wing, so it's nice tight gap, and that will actually increase the panel gap for the door to the wing, but I'll add some metal to the edge of the door, and the door will be the last thing I get to fit properly. So that's the plan. Let's see if it works. I've been a busy boy. So I have welded this piece in under here, and obviously this piece here, and I have cut this panel to fit here also and welded up. There's a little patch here. Also, another little tip that I like to use is I like to use these type of screws. Now they basically have a little drill bit on the end, and then you can screw and hold stuff together. I'm not a big fan of those Clico things. I don't really understand why a lot of people prefer to use them, because these are so quick and simple, also to remove and to fit, and they hold everything really nicely in place, and they don't stick out a great bunch like the Clicos. But I really like these drill-in screws. Okay, so that's enough for today. I've just put the wing on there. It's held on in a couple of places. I put a bolt on the top and just with these clamps here, and make sure that everything fits, and it looks, considering it's not secured, it doesn't look too bad. See, all the holes line up under here, which is really good, and this plate is nice and tight against the A post, and all the holes line up for the bolts along the top here, which is great as well. And also around the front, this fits pretty good. It needs a little bit of adjustment here, but nothing too bad. I had to remove some spots to make it fit, but that's to be expected on new panels. But I mean, these are definitely the better panels that I've fitted. Some of the E-types that I've done have been horrendous, nothing fits. So I'm super happy with that. Okay, I think I'll end the video there because I want to keep these videos quite short. So the next stage is to weld all that stuff in, and then I'm going to move on to replacing the seal and just move front to back and do one side at a time. So again, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy the progress of this project, and I'll keep you up to date with everything I do. So tomorrow I'm going to come in and weld all this together. Anyway, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode. Cheers, bye.